All right, let's start, man. So, Cause, tell me, bro, what's the dream, man?
What's the dream?
What's the dream?
It's a lot of dreams.
Break it down, bro.
One of my affirmations right now is I'm living out my biggest and my best dreams. Shout out to whoever I got that from. Um, for me, the dream, and I think for most people, if it really come down to it, the dream is doing what you love to do, living off that, being around great people, having great times in a simple form, receiving love, giving love, being happy. That's in a simple form. I think most people's dream deep down. That's the American dream.
Amen. Amen. For some people, bro.
That's the universal dream, I
For
should
some people,
say.
the American dream is a mall. Right?
That is also a mall,
Yo, thank you for being here, bro.
no
You
doubt.
you you are part of the history of this studio, bro. You've been
Facts.
around since the island, building
Yeah,
three.
it's a beautiful thing,
You
man.
are part of the history of this, bro, from the beginning.
Yes,
And
sir.
I'm happy to have you back.
Happy to be back.
We were talking about it before we started that you actually were part of the first recording we did in this new building
Yes,
when we
sir.
did the dedication to Bebe.
Shout out Real Point Podcast. Long live Bebe. Shout out Derek. Shout out Stack.
Yeah, man. Shout out to all three of them. Love them all. Bro, you've been rocking and rolling for a minute, bro. Like you
Facts.
have been in this game for a long time. I remember hearing about you when I was in college. I remember hearing like that you causing knowledge. I got signed, and I remember Bill building the website for you.
We didn't get signed. We were all on our own, but people were thinking,
It was looking like it. You guys are putting out professional
yeah,
stuff, bro.
we've been, my whole thing was like from the beginning, like make it quality. So people were thinking from like our second video, like, oh, who signed y'all?
For real, dude. For real. The videos looked amazing for the time. Like, I think you guys had HD videos before anybody had an HD camera. Before videographers were buying camera like crazy.
It's possible.
Yeah, for real. At least the first I've seen of. And I remember being blown away, bro. I remember all that stuff. And I didn't get to communicate with you immediately. Like, you were always around. I remember
Hmm.
seeing you all the time on the island, but, I was in my room doing my thing. You guys were in the other room working on your projects. But I admire you from a distance, bro. I was always thinking like, yo, this guy's going places. He's doing big things.
Word, I appreciate that.
For sure, bro. And then I heard the rap you made for Bebe and Derek for the intro
Yeah, the Real Point
was they used
Podcast
until
intro.
the last. I think they used it to the end.
Yeah, I remember they were trying to replace it at some point because they had been doing it for a while and they tried to
They
find a
couldn't find
new.
nothing better, bro.
Yeah, they
They
ended up still keeping it the whole time,
the
and
whole time,
it
man.
was crazy, man. I just did that on the strength out of love for them. They were there the whole time when I
Yeah,
was working around with those guys and everything, and so I was honored to. I'm still honored to this day, especially since we lost Bebe. Like, I always think about. I'm just glad that I got to get interviewed by them while he was still around and stuff
yeah,
like that,
man.
because my interview with Real Point came towards the end, and just like in the area, they were a big staple for a long time. So just honored to have that to be a part of my history. And then combining that with the reunion episode here,
Hmm.
combining it with your platform is just crazy how it goes hand in hand, just like on the island, like you said.
It's all connected, bro. Even when I spoke to Lori, your name had come up about how she had got to the studio and was working with us over there and stuff too.
Yeah, I had
And
did
she gave showed you some love on that show too.
yeah, that's when I did my Throwback Thursdays
I
mixtape, and I
remember it
did
was there.
MF Doom Doomsday freestyle, and
Yeah,
I had asked her to sing the little Sade part on it.
yeah,
And that was like my tribute to Doom, where I was rapping in like third person like him and kind
yeah.
of borrowing a little bit from him, having fun with it. But yeah, and she also introduced me to Nyambi J, who's on my project that I'm working with a lot right now. So shout out to Lori. You feel me? Lori Love. That's what
Yep.
she was going by at the
At
time.
the time, yeah. But yeah, bro. So tell me how you got started. To walk us all back for people that don't know you, because you've been rocking for a minute.
Yeah, well, I would say I've been rapping since I was a kid, since like 8 years old. But I would say I really got my start, really putting myself out there, like right after high school, like probably 19, 20 when I first started doing the shows and rocking at events. Um, it was just something I always loved to do, expressing myself, playing with words, playing with the lyricism, and painting these pictures of these lives that we live, and
Yeah.
just making great jams that could move people and stuff like that. So, I started early with I had a mixtape called Truth Hurts, which
I
I'm
remember
actually
that
about to
one. Yeah.
re-release this year. I had remade the cover from back in like 2010.
Oh wow.
And I just, I actually, anybody that watches my Convos with Call series on part 2 and 3, I believe I was saying how it was a big fallout with this old producer and that I didn't have the um
The masters or the cover.
the cover for the
Oh
project. I
yeah,
had the
me too.
songs, but not the original cover, which was a timestamp. Certain
Yeah.
things that are from each era is like a timestamp. And the
Yeah.
cover was like me smoking a bowl. I had a big ass chain on, devil's hat, but it was back then it was the, fitteds and shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and that was just me at that time in front of a liquor store. I'm like 19, 20, and I really always wanted that cover. And one day it came back into my life. I had it remade.
That's what's up,
So I'm
man.
gonna re-release that. But long story short, I linked up with Knowledge. We did I Used to Dream. That's when that popped. We did Jersey Shore EP, had a couple videos, couple
This is all
singles.
around 2010, 2012,
This is
right?
now like 2011.
Yeah.
Then Discovery, the full length album me and Knowledge collaborated on, that was around like 2013. And
There's always space themed with you guys, right? With
well,
you,
it
you are
started.
like, is it like a Kid Cudi or did? Because I love that too. I love space themed
I'm
things.
influenced by a lot of those guys,
So yeah,
Outkast,
Outkast
Kid
especially.
Cudi.
You did the Equipment I
Um,
freestyle too.
yeah, yeah. Now
Yeah,
I work with Big Rube, who's from Dungeon Family, and
yeah,
that's a part of my love for all those guys: Outkast, CeeLo,
yeah.
and Goody Mob, Rube, Sleepy Brown. That whole camp is amazing to me. But really, it's funny. It came kind of like the new Jupiter thing that I came up with. It kind of came out before I was like heavy on the space shit, heavy into like,
Yeah,
indulging in cannabis and shit like that, and really
yeah,
getting. Cause I remember when me and Knowledge we did this song Alien Party in the Bronx, and that kind of started a lot. But I already had the new Jupiter thing because like if you listen to before Discovery, a lot of it was a little bit more serious, less mixing real life with the imagination like I would come to do and
yeah,
and tap into some of those worlds and those planets. But the new Jupiter thing at first it just came because I love how you keep the New Jerusalem shit alive because coming up, especially getting back into like the golden era of like New Jersey rappers coming out, we had so many classics and legendary albums and rappers coming out of here. And that is what inspired me, like doing my homework on these guys and these women and listening to them. And they had New Jerusalem and there was Dirty Jersey, there was different things, and people had things for their city. But I was like, now it's kind of dried up. Like we don't really have nothing right now. People don't really think of so much when it comes to New Jersey. And I had came up with the new Jupiter thing because I'm like, we need something fresh. Nobody really uses New Jerusalem as much no more. I was using it for a long time.
yeah,
So that's why I say when I hear you say it, I'm like, that's what's up because I think that's like a beautiful name.
yeah.
And it
Super dope.
shouldn't go, it shouldn't go under the radar. It should stay out there. But New Jupiter was my thing. At first, it just meant like New Jersey on a higher level. And then it came to mean so many more things because, like, a lot of things have layers to them without even trying. So I could go deep into that too, but it started as a Jersey thing. So that's where a lot of it started with like Discovery and stuff like that. And then I did Throwback Thursdays real quick when I went solo to keep things going. And then I did Release Party 1 and 2 now. Release Party 2, Empath Paradise, the full name. And that's when I introduced more like the Release Party brand of like, let's have a good time, let's turn up, and
Yeah.
let's talk about shit too. That's where the whole idea of the Release Party thing came from. But New Jupiter is always a staple in my shit. You hear it on my shit just because I wanted to bring Jersey, where we from, in a new way to people that they might not even know what they hearing at first because sometimes people don't know what New Jupiter is.
Facts.
Sometimes they think it's a label, which I could understand that too, because there's, especially coming up, there was a lot of people wanting to be down with that movement,
Yeah.
and it's still a lot of people. But I feel like I kind of like owned it and defined it at this point as like that's my movement. Where just like Outkast, how they felt like
AT
we the
aliens.
AT aliens, like you
Yeah.
said, Kid Cudi, I'm the man on the moon.
Yeah.
It's that feeling of being alienated. Maybe you feel like I definitely feel like me and people that uh relate to that. We feel like we grew up in a way like a black sheep, like a way where you, especially at that like younger age, you feel like nobody really like understands you and shit. But then you kind of like own your shit as you grow
Yeah.
older, and you kind of like grow into being unique, which is what it is. But at the time, you could feel like ostracized when you coming up and stuff like that.
Big
So
facts. Big facts, bro. So you're from out here. You're from Garfield, right?
I'm from Garfield originally.
That's crazy. I never knew that. Even when I moved out, I never knew that until you
Well,
started commenting on stuff.
yeah, well, I got three towns that I grew up around. Originally
Yeah.
from here in Garfield, I first lived right on Jewel Street, right there. My
Wow.
grandmother lives on Market Street, right off Jewel, and my dad lives on the Harrison Ave side. But when I was young, I moved to Fairlawn. That's where I grew up, and that's how I
Gotcha.
started hanging out in Patterson all the time because in Fairlawn, I
Fairlawn's pretty
felt,
close.
yeah, it's right next to it,
Yeah.
and I've that's where that new Jupiter feeling started, feeling like a black sheep, and
Especially
so.
in Fairlawn, bro. There's no hip hop out there, man.
At the time it was different, and I
Yeah,
got,
man.
I felt it because people were letting me know like how it was different and stuff like that. And just in Patterson, you ain't obviously have to deal with that.
Not at all.
And so, that's why a lot of people know me from Patterson, but my
I always thought
family,
you was a Patterson guy.
yeah, I mean, I consider myself like an honorary Patterson guy.
Yeah.
That's where I came up chilling since like my teenage years. So that's where most people know me from. But my family is from Garfield, so I got a lot of love for both. And then, like I said, I grew up living and going to school in Fairlawn and stuff like that. So
That's where you're from, right, Joe? You're from Fairlawn? No? Oh, forget it then.
he don't even know. But yeah, so that's another part of the new Jupiter concept is like,
Gotcha.
it's like if you grew up around different kinds of areas instead of just one, like a lot of people, you'll find different kinds of people that are like you that might have born here and then moved here and then
Yeah.
moved here,
Yeah.
and or they understand that there's different, they might have been around the lower class and the middle class
Yep.
or the upper class, whatever, like people that just grew up around different kinds of people, not just one specific area and stuff like that. That's another part of the whole new Jupiter movement. It's just for people that are looking for a place to fit in or looking for a place like an outlet and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I feel like I just get a lot of that out in my music.
And now you probably could fit into any crowd now because you've been around every type of situation.
Yeah, pretty much. I could do underground hip hop. I could just come and rip it. I could do some, if it was some trap shit, I could get on some like melodic and some fly shit and and
Yeah.
and, and relate to the crowd. If whatever type of crowd it is,
Even if it was like a rock and roll crowd, I bet you still be comfortable.
I'll find some way to do it,
Exactly.
especially if I got a band with me.
Yeah, exactly.
You feel me? We'll turn up and come with some new shit.
Got you. So yeah, like I was saying, like I first heard about you when you was collaborating with Knowledge. So how did you guys link together and what happened when you guys split? Because I never heard that story. I don't know if you're comfortable telling it. I think I
Yeah,
heard somebody ask you before and you had said you didn't really want to talk about it.
well, for a long time, I can only speak for myself, but I feel like it was more like personal, so I kind of like kept it to myself and kept it
Yeah.
moving. Um, on Impasse Paradise on my project, I feel like I talk about a lot of people that I used to run with in a lot of situations without getting too specific, like naming people. Cause like I say in the song, it's not about one person, but it's about coming up in the game and being around people and then kind of realizing like, damn, maybe certain things don't align, even though we like family, like we came up together, but then, sometimes people you were around at a young age, as you grow, it don't always stay the same. Sometimes you go
Yeah.
apart. So Impasse Paradise with Nyambi J, that touches on a lot of things from that time. But with Knowledge specifically, man, I just feel like, first we came up kind of like in a crew together, and we just were like collaborators, like Conway and Wes and Benny, like we would just always be on songs together. So at first we went through something where the original producer that we worked with, we had a falling out with him, and so me and him did Jersey Shore EP just to kind of like come together. And originally I wanted to put I Used to Dream on the project because people loved it so much. But we ended up doing all new songs, and then it was so crazy. We went and did the album Discovery, and then I just feel like that's when it kind of, God was like, all right, y'all good, y'all did what y'all came to do, and just kind of like naturally, little by little, it was hard at first. There was a lot of bumps in the road, but that's just the way it was supposed to go. We started like moving apart creatively, personally, in
Oh,
a lot of
okay.
ways.
So there
Um,
was no drama or nothing crazy.
it's all about how you think about it. It's hard
Right.
at that age because, like I said, y'all feel like, damn, we family, we fucks with each other. But when happiness comes into play, when it starts getting a little bit like more frustrated, it's just like looking back is normal shit. But at the time, you take it personally and you take it to heart or whatever. But
Yeah.
for me, it was just about like moving to the next stage of where I'm at. Like with that Discovery album, we really like came up. We started being known, and then, like I said, it was natural for me to, both of us were solo artists.
Yeah.
So it was natural to just, kind of like go our own route. He was already working on a solo project at one time,
Got
and
you.
I already had the release party concept. So he also moved to Florida at that time. So
Oh, I didn't know
everything
that
just
either.
kind of, yeah, everything just kind of went into a different way. And I'm one to just go with the flow. And like I said, I was following my happiness. My intuition was telling me it was time to get back to just doing my solo thing and come with the release party brand. So that's what I ended up doing.
Thanks. And shout out to you for never throwing dirt on nobody's name, bro. I never heard you speak bad on nobody. At least
Word,
not in front of me, not in the music that I've heard from you.
word.
So that shows a lot about your character. If things are still in the background that you're still not talking about, then that
Hmm.
means like you still got respect for the person.
Well, I just think, a lot of people, some people use platforms to try to even get clicks or get
Oh,
attention
facts.
off of
Controversy
throwing
gets
people
clicks.
name, or
Yeah.
I just think, you gotta be the energy that you want to come back to you, and you gotta
Bingo.
treat people the way that you want to be treated. Everybody ain't got to know everything. When you look at certain groups that stay together forever, even, you don't really hear about shit that happened because they got respect for their brand and what they did and everything like that. So I just think, man, like I said, things just change sometimes, and you gotta just stay high vibrational and move with the pace of where life is taking you and shit.
Facts. And you found another tribe, right? Because I see the your tribe. You got Tiggs with you, Fat Boy Sharif, a couple other characters there.
Yeah, a lot of people that I got on my project, Nyambi J, 100 Grand.
100 Grand, I
I
remember
work with
him.
Shot Bullets from So Amazing Studios. Shout
Yeah.
out to him. That's somebody that's been instrumental in, actually since the beginning, because he mixed Discovery for me and Knowledge. He mixed Release Party 1 with me. He
Oh wow,
mixed
he's
Release
been around
Party
for a
2
minute
with me.
then.
And then, through time, we started recording more, me recording at the studio and him throwing ideas and us building stuff. I might record something and he'll throw some keys on it.
Got you.
But at first he was mixing a lot of my albums because I knew that he was that guy. When it came to engineering, I knew I could go to him. Coming up early, he was a name that I heard, and I knew like I could go to him. So you got Lucci. Lucci's on my project on
Lucci's
Juke
been
God,
hard. Yeah.
and I just recorded something with him the other day too. So I consider all these people my new Jupiter people, yourself as well. Anybody that I
Appreciate
know
it.
through this
Salute.
Jupe shit,
Yeah.
anybody that I collab with in any form and it's good vibes, in my mind, I consider them my new Jupiter people. You feel me?
Amen, man. I appreciate that, bro.
No
You
doubt.
definitely been doing your thing for a long time. I've admired you for a long time, bro. So your most recent project is a release party too, right?
Yes.
And you released that was 2 months ago,
This actually released right before
or before New Year's.
2022.
So last year,
Yeah, this was at the end of
21. Yeah.
2021, December 2021.
Got you. And was there like are you keeping the theme of the after of the release parties going, or is that going to be a three? Is there more
There's
stuff
a
coming?
three. There's a three in mind right now. I think I'm pretty sure. I guess I'm spilling the beans early
Yeah,
on
you've been an
people, but
exclusive over here.
yeah, that's actually been in the works to do a release party 3 and probably end the series there on the
Yeah,
third note. But I got some crazy jams for this album right here. So there's a couple projects and things in the works right now, but release party 3 has been definitely been thrown around and worked on and stuff like that.
good stuff, man. And you also spoke to me about podcasting too before in the past. Have you still wanted to get into podcasting?
I've thought about it. I mean, I have my YouTube series, so I think that's what made me think about it, because people was like, you should do like a more like
Just sit
monthly or
down.
weekly
Okay.
podcasts or whatever. But I like the YouTube series for now because it gives me an opportunity to do it kind of like around each event, like around release party. Well, the first one with I think the first one I just kicked it off, and then around release party 2, I did episode 2 with my dude Cal, and then before. No, no, no. What am I? Let me think. No, the first one, the Convos with Calls Part 1, we did off the rip. Then for release party 1, we did Convos Part 2. Then for release party 2, we did Part 3. So it's only right that, we get Part 4 going at some point soon. I put a lot into my Convo series because I wanted to be almost like a centerpiece or something to go into a new album or a new era. So like Convos Part 3, I didn't even know, but we were gonna go through like my whole career. So I
Oh
basically
wow.
packed so much in there that I was like, yeah, y'all be good on this for like a year or so, or whatever the case may be. But I try to put a lot that I feel like people need to know in that moment
Yeah.
into those episodes. So then when the new music comes out, they kind of already have like an understanding of where I'm at that moment.
I totally get that. Who was your videographer back then when you were doing the videos? Because that was, like I said, that blew my mind how
I
at the
worked
time
with
you
I worked with a lot of different people. Originally, the first videos I did with Knowledge, it was my dude named Morbius,
more of it.
and he did I Used to Dream, The Truth, and Hallelujah. And then we started working with all different people. Even for Release Party 2, I got Nimi Hendrix, who a lot of people know
Jimmy.
out here.
Yeah.
I got Rock Davis, who's another big director from Jersey. Um, and yeah, I got a lot of different people. I think I worked with a different person each visual for this album.
When you do the videos, do you do the concept and everything too,
A
or you
lot of
leave
the
it in their
time,
hands?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
A lot of the time I'll come up with mostly the concept, the locations, and then a lot of times the director will go off that and put their spin on it or whatever. But I'm so hands on with it. I'm to the point where I be like sitting with the director, changing scenes, editing things, because they'll put their expertise on it, and then I feel like a lot of the time I gotta put my little vibe on it to where it's exactly what my vision is. So in a way we work together, but I have a lot more to do with my videos and stuff like that than people realize a lot of the time. So it's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
work with
Mm-hmm.
those as well, but I wouldn't have it no other way because it's just like a song. When you got a perfect song and you just listen to it and you don't think about changing nothing, you just listen to it and vibe to it. It's the same thing with a video. I want it to just flow straight through on some, on that new juke vibe. It gotta be on the right
Yeah.
vibe and be
Yeah.
on point. So yeah, I be real hands on with my videos too.
Man, that's what's up, man. And given the time length of time you've been in the game already, so many trends have come and gone. You remember when we had like the mumble rap era, and we had like just like swag rap in the beginning of 2010, cloud rap. Now we're in this drill era. How do you feel about like the current state of hip hop right now? Because you have a particular brand where you are more authentic and kind of avoiding just like timely trends. You're not
Mm,
trying to jump into every wave that comes along, at least from what I've
right.
noticed.
Yeah, I always go with the flow. I always do what feels right. If it's authentic to me, I always experiment, and whether it's a trend or not, I'm always experimenting. But
Gotcha, man.
I feel like there's always good and bad. There's always authentic and inauthentic. There's always stuff you vibe with more than other stuff. But I feel like as long as there's music, there's gonna be stuff that I vibe with, that people vibe with, and stuff that you don't vibe with. A lot of the music I make, sometimes it feels like it's filling a void, or it's. I think every artist, you should have such a unique brand and art form that when you put your music out, there's nothing else like it. So if you take some of the recent music from Kendrick's album to SZA just dropped the album to there's people fucking with the Drake and 21 album. There's all kinds
Mm-hmm.
of different music and styles. Even Drake himself, he had the House album,
True,
all different
true.
kinds of stuff going on. Sometimes, I don't know, I think for a long time, things were stagnant and it probably got to the point where people got so like, okay, we are used to this particular sound and style now, and we got it down so much that now it's like a free fall. You could just go back to doing whatever the fuck you want to do. People putting out
Yeah,
all different kinds of stuff. So I think that's always a good thing. Um, People experimenting and just going for whatever feels right at the moment. But yeah, it's always gonna be good and bad. But I think overall I can't complain. I think there's good stuff coming out, and I think it's all about just fucking with the artists that you vibe with. And when it comes to music, there always should be authenticity. There always should be whatever that means to you. It might not even mean the same thing to me as what it means
facts,
to an
facts.
artist. But if it's real to you and you doing what you passionate about and you believe in it and you think it's the hottest shit and people fuck with it, I think that's all that matters right there.
You got good points there. You got good points there, bro. And not the answer I was particularly like thought you were gonna say, but nah, you have really good points there. So there particular sounds that you want to jump into soon, that you want to try out or you want to experiment with?
I mean, like I said, I'm always experimenting. So even when you listen to Release Party 2,
Yeah,
we got like the kind of dancehall trap vibe on Lost.
yeah,
Um, Believe it or not, at the time when I did Release Party 1, there was people that was a little bit iffy about me touching sounds like Bloom and doing things that were now it's just seen as probably one of my best songs or one of my most known songs. But
yeah.
at the time, people were like, damn, you touching this. And I always tell a lot of people it's funny when it comes to my music. I think it touches so many boundaries that I guess you can't always put it in a box because it really depends who I talk to. Like I could talk to you about a song or album and you might feel like it fits into this. And then I talk to somebody else and they like, damn, I wish you would have did what you just said. You doing
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
Or they're like, damn, what made you touch this? And I'm like, so it's a little bit of everything. My shit is a little bit all over the place of just what was hot to me. So one thing that might surprise another person to another person, they might just hear it and be like, that's hot. And to somebody else, like I said, they'll be like, that's this sound. Somebody else says the same sound as this sound.
yeah.
So it's really interesting because I think I know how it feels coming up at first to be put kind of like in one box. And then when you get to the point where you touching so many boxes that you don't know what somebody's gonna say, that's kind of interesting to me because, like I said, I get different views and different opinions on even what I'm doing. And it just shows that, the music is universal because it depends on the listener a lot of the
Of
time to
course.
really, however they see it, you feel me? It's like their interpretation of it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think there was a big fight with the older crowd, like to keep hip hop kind of more boom bap sounding, and that's what we consider to be authentic. But I guess things evolve and it just changes, and you just have to. If you fuck with it, then listen to it. If not, you have your era, and you have a whole bunch of music from that era you can still rock with.
Well, the cool thing now too is that since the Griselda era, there's been a
Griselda's back,
huge
yeah,
resurgence of boom bap and you know, underground hip hop.
yeah,
That lane of like grimy boom bap hip hop and street shit, it was like non-existent for a long time, and
yeah,
they opened up the whole wave for that. And then you got guys like my brother Fatboy Sharif. I feel like I don't want to compare him to nobody because he not like nobody, but kind of like that abstract, weird,
yeah.
somewhat funny. Just his shit is like like I said, in my mind, I feel like I could name some people, but that they would be people that were more from like that late '90s, early 2000, the mid
I know
2000s, kind of
exactly.
like
Yeah, like a
independent
Bizarro
underground
and whatnot.
era
Yeah,
from everybody from like Cool Keith or Young Z,
yeah.
Delta Funky, Homo Sapien,
Yes,
MF Doom.
yes.
There's so many people. Like I said, he don't sound like nobody, but to come into that vein where who's out right now besides maybe like Earl Sweatshirt and a couple guys that you could even say like I'm gonna rock some Doom and then I need to rock somebody who's just as nice, who's in that vein. There's not too
Yeah,
many guys. So then when you have me, like I said, you have the Griselda with that wave, you have Fat Boy with that wave. Now with me, I feel like not purposely, but I feel like I'm filling the gap of guys that I was influenced by. Commons, the old Kanye,
Yeah.
Lupe, and guys from whatever era. It could be Tribe and De La Soul and Native Tongues,
Hmm.
Fugees, Outkast. I feel like there's not as many people now really coming in a vein like that. Um, so I just feel like when you come in with something that people want and nobody's really filling that void as much, even though we're all different artists, but just like Griselda, our original artist, they fill in a vein that people was hungry for. Fat Boy, nobody sound like him, but if your favorite artist is Kool Keith and Dell and Doom,
Yeah.
and you like, all right, I got Earl, I got a couple guys, but you want to hear somebody like that. So I just feel like if you like shit like Water for Chocolate, even if you fuck with neo soul, like some of my biggest influences from Frank Ocean to Raphael Sadiq, Lauryn Hill, all kinds of people from even back in the day, Stevie Wonder, Gil Scott, so people that want to hear something that makes them feel good, like when they heard B from Common or whatever, whatever, you know, I feel like that's what I bring to the table. So I just want people to see me in that light. And it's funny, when I was coming up, I used to get stereotyped a lot as just like an underground, because that's the scene I came up in. So like that underground East Coast street shit,
Yeah.
lyrical, that's how a lot of people would put me. But I was like, y'all not really seeing it, because when I would go to studios and stuff, you know, you know how like some local studios could be. A lot of people are kind of like rapping in the same vein. So when you come different, especially with hip hop, right away people want to categorize you.
Of course.
So I think, especially when I was really coming up, like at first people want to, okay, I hear you flowing, you rapping, it's deep stuff you saying. This is this vein, and I'm like, nah, y'all not seeing it. I'm like Andre 3000, like. And y'all won't say this to Nas because y'all see Nas is up there. Since I'm coming up at the time, I wanted people to see, like, I'm like, yay, I'm like Outkast and CeeLo and all these guys. Like, so I think now I've gotten to the point where like people see it, people see the cause for the cause, instead of just trying to keep me in that box of like New Jersey underground hip hop or whatever that I came up in. The underground is a beautiful place, and I think in our hearts, a true artist, even if you become a huge pop star, in your heart, you are a hardcore underground artist, as far as like just what you said earlier, staying authentic, staying true.
Big facts.
Common had a line on Resurrection. He said something like, hardcore is far more than gats and bats. It goes back to the roots of being true. So
Mm.
that's how I look at it. It's like, to me, if you take like an artist like Kanye, we will kind of like exclude this current era of everything that's going on. But if we just talk about what he was known for musically before things got off the rails, it was like, I would tell people, I'm like, he's still like a hardcore artist in the fact of like, he do what the fuck he want to do. And that's what it really come down to at the end of the day. Kid Cudi, he always stayed true to his sound. Outkast, they wasn't scared to bug people out and just do some whole new shit that felt right to them, because they knew like, even if we ahead, people are gonna catch up to what we doing, but we gotta be authentic. I
Get your
just
friend
watched a
caught up.
word,
Forget
word.
about it.
And they was definitely ahead of their time in a
Hell
lot of
yeah.
ways. But even on recently, I watched the documentary on Sinead O'Connor. Never really knew much about her, and it was really deep. And she was speaking about how like an artist shouldn't sing a song that they don't believe in. And these are the type of influences that I'm influenced by, because it's all about being a true artist, truly creative, and speaking from the heart, doing what you believe in at all costs, and doing what's hot to you.
Got you. Now let me ask you two questions at once. Do you consider yourself a woke artist? And two, do you think woke is a bad word now?
I see things a lot differently than most people. So I would say it really comes down to everybody's perspective. Me personally, um, I don't think nothing bad about woke. It's not really a word I always use, or so
You
I'm
haven't
not
used it to describe yourself not once. So not today, at least.
Yeah, I mean, coming up, people would call it a conscious artist.
Yeah.
Um, I wouldn't, how can I say it? I wouldn't pinhole myself with just that, but I wouldn't go away from it either because the people I came up listening to, like I said, was the Kanyes, the Qualis, and Most Defs and Commons, and not to just pigeon myself to that either, but that's a big part of my inspiration. The Roots, people like this, Fuji's, Outkast, Lupe. That's a Common. That's a big thing with me. Like I said, from Sadiq, Ndi, Badu, all kinds of people. So that is a big thing with me, but that's not all of me either. And I always wanted people to see all of me. I don't know if woke is a bad word. I guess it depends on
Hmm.
who's using it. I'm not around people that's constantly saying it all the time. I know Hotep became a bad word.
What does Hotep mean?
Well, Hotep is like, I think it means like, don't nobody kill me if I'm wrong, but I think it's like peace in Egyptian or it means something like that. And people started using it
Mm.
like, oh, those are those Hotep guys. Like those are those conscious guys or whatever, but like in a bad way. And the worst one is Grand Rising. That one got torched. You can't even use that
Yeah.
no more
Yeah. Fact.
because certain people that used it, not everybody that used it, but certain people that use it, I feel like they came off crazy to people and people just torched it. Now it's like you can't even say that no more. You'll look crazy.
Yeah. For facts, that can happen. That happens a lot, actually. I think that's what happened to the word woke. I think that's why when I hear it used, I usually hear it used negatively. Like, oh, he's a woke artist. Like he's just preaching.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's not as bad as Hotep, but it's getting in there because sometimes you have people that'll be like, "Oh, this guy's too preachy." Some people
Hmm.
even said it with Kendrick's new album, but
Yep.
a lot of people loved it. He's a master. He's a genius. So, like I said, it's up to the person, and a lot of times it's about where you at in life. You might not be at a point in your life where you need that music or that it appeals to you, but you might go through something next year that puts you in a different mind state
Good
and you
point.
want to hear something like that. So, not for nothing, it makes sense when it comes to anything that comes with identity. It could be questioned because people are like, you trying to put me in a box. It's kind of similar to what would happen with guys like Talib Kweli when they was coming up. And
Yeah, he didn't like being called a conscious artist.
yeah, he had the album Prisoner of Consciousness, and
Hmm.
even Common, like he would play around with it. I think he embraced it a little bit, I feel like, but he also, everybody knows, like I said, you can't pigeonhole me. I'm just an artist. So Common would play around with it like Lil Calm, I make righteous bitches get low. He would have fun with it. And sometimes people didn't realize
Yeah,
how, because he's so real, people don't
and
realize how,
versatile.
huh?
He's very versatile too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. People wouldn't realize how funny some of them lines could be sometimes. But yeah, people will always wrestle with that label of being a conscious rapper. Or I think just in general labels in rap. Cause even if you call somebody a gangster rapper, it's like now what you feel like you can't make no other song that don't fit into that vein. You're gonna make other songs. No artist is just gonna make one type of song.
Good point.
Even if you stay really in one lane a lot of the time, like Pusha T. He's known as the king of the coke rap. He's somebody that can do a style that people don't really get tired of him doing it. Like most people can't stay in one vein, but even with that, that don't mean that he never made no other type of song. He has and he does. So I just feel like even if you take neo soul, one of my favorite genres, you hear me say Sadiq and Badu and all these names. A lot of them, like I'm pretty sure Badu and I think D'Angelo talked about it. Some of them have issues with the term neo soul because somebody put that on the style of music. They were just
Hmm.
making music and somebody started calling it that.
Yeah.
And so sometimes people ask them, do you like that? Is that what you call it? So I think with artists in general, I think artists are so creative and pushing boundaries, true artists, that I think a lot of true artists, they don't really want no kind of like label or identity on it. They want it to just be what it is. But also we got to realize that sometimes people want to come up with certain names to identify certain things and certain sounds.
It's true, man. Like sometimes you want to go into a service like Spotify and you can't just type in an artist name because you might not know the name of the artist. You want to look up a genre and I want to hear multiple songs of this genre. If there's no labels, then how am I gonna find this?
Yeah, I mean, you got to call, as much as I'm like abstract and pushing boundaries,
Yeah.
certain, I mean, it's like I could just sit on this couch, but what if I need to get a new one? I need to have a name for it. Yo, I
Yeah, I can't go. Let me find something to sit on.
yeah, I
What
need a
kind of
couch.
thing?
So we
Let
got
me
to
give you a tree to
understand,
sit on,
yeah.
right?
So we got to understand that. I mean, you got to call certain things. But yeah, artists, we real like,
They're a sensitive breed.
yeah.
Artists are always going to be a sensitive breed, which is understandable. We're artists. We
And I
create
will
babies
admit,
all the time.
hip hop has a lot more judgment than a lot of other things in the world. So, like I said, as soon as somebody comes out, they want to know who they beefing with. They want to know who we comparing them to. When J.
Exactly.
Cole came out, they was comparing him to Drake. They was comparing Drake to J. Cole. They was
Hmm.
comparing Cuddy to Drake. They was trying to put this one against this one, and people always need to compare and they need to feel like in their brain they understand where certain things sit, and that's why sometimes artists and creative people and just different minds make people uncomfortable because they want them to, this is where it gets scary. They want people to be creative, outspoken,
Hmm.
different, but they want a line on where to draw it, and sometimes that line could be a little bit scary, like we see with certain people and that's out there, and they want, like I said, they want a creative to be a creative, but within the confines that sometimes that they understand or that they're comfortable with. So when people push the boundaries even further, that's why sometimes people really be ahead of their time, because people will be like, what the fuck you doing? You bugging right now. Like I
Yeah,
said, Sinead
that's
O'Connor, they showed in the documentary where
yeah.
she ripped a picture of the Pope because of some speech he gave in Ireland, and they was covering up all the stuff with children and stuff like that, and they showed in the
I think she
doc.
was done after that too. I don't think she made more music after that.
You know what's crazy? It from what it's looked like, because they kind of covered mostly that time period, but it looked like she disappeared from the limelight, but she still make music, and I think they
They
said she
wasn't
has
gonna
like
drop
7
the tape.
platinum albums or some shit.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's
And she's like
crazy.
Muslim now. She was performing in the hijab and the whole outfit. But
Wow.
so they show in the doc, right? She ripped up the picture of the Pope. Everybody was mad at her. And yeah, she kind of like disappeared from the limelight. 9 years later, the same Pope apologized for all the stuff that he was covering up with the Catholic Church and stuff like that. So it just goes to show you that, in that case, she was ahead of her time with what she was saying. Maybe it's how she did it that pissed people off, but she wanted to make a statement. She did it. And a lot of times we got to remember a lot of these artists was like 22 or something when they was doing this stuff that they became so
Full of
known for.
angst and full of energy at that age, bro. A 22-year-old, you can't tell a 22-year-old nothing.
Just like Lauryn Hill. Like Lauryn Hill was
She was a
very
kid.
young. She was a kid when she was winning.
Tupac was a kid.
Yeah. And like since we were young and these people were already like when we were coming up, Pac was passed already and we
Hmm.
listening to him and Big and everybody and loving their music. But for a lot of us, we were so young that they already passed when we really, really were listening to their whole catalog like that. So we go back now and people say it all the time, like, yo, these people were like in their early 20s to mid 20s. To us, they were like grown people. And I don't know, I think it was something with the generations too, where I think people was just going through more stuff then where they even seemed and looked older because when
They
you,
seem to look older. Yeah.
yeah, like when you look at like, when we think about the age Pac died, Big died, and whoever else, it's like,
They look like 30-year-olds.
and you compare it to us at that age, it's like, holy shit, bro, that's crazy that they were making all this music and doing all this stuff at that age.
You know what I want to bring it back to that you had mentioned earlier? When we came to like Fatboy Sharif, and you were saying like there's not a lot of rappers still like that around. Do you think we need more? Not that Fatboy Sharif is part of that too, but maybe like funny rap, like rappers like Buster, like Ludacris, like Bizarre, even a little bit of Redman and Method Man. Like, there's not a lot of rappers that go out and just trying to like make you smile in their
Yeah,
music.
it could definitely be needed. I think something with Fatboy Sharif when he did songs like "Oh I'm Bugging" on Gandhi Loves Children,
Yeah,
and
you follow Stars Coleman
I know Stars. Yeah.
and Bad Lungs. They're kind
Oh,
of
I
like
know
that
Bad
too.
Lungs for a long time.
Yeah, they're in that like kind of like not funny rap, but yeah, like it has a comedic vibe to
Yeah,
it.
doing that now.
Yeah,
Like Fat Boy, you don't know what he's going to throw because he'll mix like serious shit with like a funny
yeah.
line, or the line will be like half funny, half like dead serious. That you'll be like, should you even joke about that? Like sometimes we'll be like when we out in the city and it's like a bunch of us and stuff, and like Fat Boy will be like, "Yo, what y'all think of this line?" It'll be a real line that he wrote for his verse for his project. And some people will be like laughing, and other people will be like, "You can't say that, bro."
uh,
And you know, he was inspired by guys like Bizarre, Cool Keith, Young Z, a lot of different guys. People they bring up like the Buster comparisons, Old Dirty comparisons.
all the music great
And
ones
like I
too.
said, when we say this, we talking about maybe a piece of an artist that somebody sees and they identify it with, because Fat Boy is in his own lane completely. He's somebody
Hmm.
you're gonna have to probably sit, you're gonna bump to it, but you're gonna be dissecting what he's saying because Fat Boy is like a top lyricist now in hip hop. It's crazy because I came up with him. I was there when he did his first verse. Like when I say first verse, I mean recorded verse. You know, before we all started hanging out, he never recorded nothing. He was more like he was doing interviews and he was on college radio at the
Oh, I didn't
time I
even
met
know
him.
that.
I met him through an interview,
You're
him and
kidding
89
me.
the Brainchild,
Wow.
which they got a show again now in Brooklyn
I
that they
remember
do.
eating on the Brainchild too.
Yeah, so Fat Boy, he just used to be like the freestyle king. Like as soon as we came to the station, it was me and Knowledge at the time.
What station was it?
They was at Kane University.
Oh wow.
So we go to the station at the time and we in the computer room, we got a little bit of time and Fat Boy like, yo, who rapping, who freestyling? So we'll all just be freestyling. And so we got cool right away. The interview was like fire. And that's when I first met Fat Boy and 89 the Brainchild. And one day we all did a song. It was me, Knowledge, 89, and Fat Boy. And Fat Boy was like, yo, if my shit is whack, y'all could just delete it. And he laid it. And he laid it. And the funny thing is, the song itself, I don't know why we forgot about it. We sat on it for a long time. And
Yeah.
one day, like, we pulled it up, like, yo, this shit fire. What the fuck we doing with this shit? And Fat Boy, you know, that's when he started getting flowing as a recording artist. As he, like I said, he's back on radio now too, so he does both. But he
Yeah.
transitioned like full into an artist, and to see where he's at now, traveling, doing shows, touring. Um, I've seen him do amazing shows in the city, and all over. Like it's amazing to be part of that journey, and it inspires me. Um, like he actually got on Hot 97 before I did.
Yep. I
And when I
remember
seen
that.
that, I'm like, oh shit, like Rosenberg fucking with
Mm-hmm.
they fucking with the jupe, you feel me? Like we gotta fuck with them.
Does Rosenberg still do the late night underground show or no?
Yeah, that's when
He
played
does.
my he played
He
two of my
played you.
songs.
Yeah, I remember he played
And
you.
that's where he be breaking a lot of people on Sundays on that late
I
night
didn't know if he
show.
still did it.
Yeah, so I remember it was late 2020 when he played my record. I'm sitting at home. And Fat Boy, he was listening to it and he texted me like, yo, Rosenberg playing KOJ. I'm like, what? Mind you, this is like a year before the album dropped. Then an hour later, he played Desensitized with Big Rube.
Wow.
And speaking of Outkast, we got to talk about that because I got the Desensitized video coming out this year. And I went down to Atlanta. So anybody that don't know Big Rube, you know who Big Rube is. You know his voice. He was in the movie ATL as well. He
Yeah.
he did the spoken word when they in the hospital. But anybody that's an Outkast fan, Goody Mob, any kind of Dungeon Family fan, you know, Rube not only was Big Rube on ATLians, he actually came up with the whole idea for the comic
Oh,
for
really? Like the cover
ATLians.
of it? That was a comic?
Yeah, Big Rube
Oh,
is a
wow.
he's the OG in Dungeon Family. He came up with the Goody Mob logo. He did a lot of things that people don't know about,
I
but
didn't know that. Yeah.
obviously we know him from his verses and stuff like that. So I would hear like 13th Floor on AT Aliens, like, yo, who is this guy? This is amazing. I seen him perform Liberation with this band in New York, the same show Fat Boy was on, a couple other people. Algiers, that's the name of the band. Algiers, the band on Instagram. They perform Liberation with Big Rube. For the people that don't know, that's Outkast, CeeLo, Erica Badu, and Big Rube. It's one of Rube's most famous verses. And anyway, those are just two standouts. Um, among a lot of other things that he did. But I flew down to Atlanta. We shot in, I believe it was Southwest Atlanta, in front of all the murals of Big Rube's mural, Outkast mural, Goody Mob mural. There was Organized Noise. Shout out to them. Shout out to Rico. And also Mister, who was down with Dungeon Family. For a lot of people, they'll know that as when he was young, Bobby Valentino's group. They had the song Blackberry Molasses, which is a very underrated song and album.
I didn't know that either.
Blackberry Molasses. A lot of people know the song, but they don't know that that was him when he was like a teenager.
Oh wow.
So, and shout out to the whole Dungeon family. There's too many people to name, but we shot in front of their murals and we shot a couple other places. And
How'd you like Atlanta?
it was fire, man. I've
They
been down
say
there a
that's the
couple
mecca, man,
times
for
and
music in general.
yeah, man. For me, like as a music head and an artist myself, and being inspired by all different people, a lot of times, whether it's just home in New Jersey or in New York or abroad, like it all ties back to music. So not only is it inspirational because Atlanta has been like the driving force for like a long time now, but like I said, being inspired by some of the originators and the best that came out of the A, and working with a guy that is in that clique. It's in that, he was on these albums, he was a part of these processes. Big Rube, you know, I'm 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 putting a lot of stuff out there right now that people might not know, but if you watch like his interviews with Beehive, you'll hear things like that. Like he helped come up with the chorus for Southern Playalistic. He was involved in a lot of this stuff with Sleepy Brown and Rico Wade and Ray Murray, Organized Noise, and all them guys. Um, Actually, the first time I went down to Atlanta, and me and Knowledge had a song that we shot with Big Rube, Final Destination, produced by Mr. Green and featuring DJ Priority with scratches on there, my man from Patterson. Um, when we first went down there a couple years ago and stuff like that, that's when I first like touched base with him or whatever. So when I went down there now, it was like me and him, we know each other already. We get on the phone, we'll talk for hours and just like build about shit. And it's just crazy that not only do they consider him like the human encyclopedia, like you can ask him anything. You can just call him up and he'll know the answer to it. Like he's smart as hell. Talking with him, you could shoot the shit and just have a good time and talk about whatever. If you want to get deep, it's endless. Like you don't know what like knowledge he has, what he's gonna bring up. So that's why he's able to write like that. But just to be working with somebody like that who I'm so inspired by, like I said, Dungeon Family is one of my biggest inspirations. So to be a part of that in any way is just amazing to me.
How'd you get connected with them?
Big Rube.
You reached out?
At first, yeah, one time I reached out, we got on the phone and I played him the first song we did. He called me back. He's like, "Yeah, it's dope. You real." And we worked on it. Um, Shot the video for that, Final Destination, and then we did Desensitized, which Desensitized is just amazing to me. It's I mean, I feel like most artists probably say this, but with Release Party 2 it's my best work. Every new project I do, I level up in some kind of way. I'm always bringing new ideas. I'm always building on the sound, building on the message, building on the lyrics. And, you know, I feel like Desensitized is like it's rider music, but it's conscious rider music. It's like this some shit. You could play, you could blast this rolling through the hood, and you hear Rube coming on in between my verses, and then he come on at the end, and it's like I feel like anybody could relate to it. If you a street dude and you going through what you going through, you could hear this song and you might just love the song, and then you start listening more like, damn, I'm really hearing what he's saying because we saying some shit on that song. It could be from anybody. If you a college kid to a parent to whatever it is, it's just real music. So I thank Rube forever for blessing me with that verse, and everything we do is just always amazing to me.
Amen, bro. Amen. So what's next for you, bro? What you got on the agenda? It's a new year. What goals you have for this year?
Man, I got a lot in the pocket for y'all, man. Like I said, I'm releasing the visual for Desensitized with Big Rube this year. I'm releasing the visual for Empath's Paradise with Nyambi J. I got another visual I'm working on right now. And just a lot of songs, man. I don't know what I could say too early, but I got a lot of songs I've been working on and really perfecting. And all I could really say is I got a lot of great music. It's gonna be a lot more performances this year. Brooklyn, I'm gonna be in Brooklyn on the 27th. I got an amazing set. So everybody, look at my IG at King Causey. Check out the flyer for that. It's gonna be amazing. But just, man, this is just the time for anybody that really want to do something that's really passionate. I could just say my message to you is don't give a fuck about what nobody say. Throw all them fears and doubts out the window, block it out, put them blinders on, and just go as hard as you can. I feel like it's like a lot of times, man, you know, from me and what I preach, a lot of it has been about self-care, and I talk about meditation, and I talk about affirmations, and I talk about going with the flow and being aligned and being in tune with intuition. And then it gets to the point where when you really get down with self, there's nothing left to do but now it's discipline time. Balance it all out, knock them fucking goals out, do what the fuck you gotta do, no excuses, because at the end of the day, you know, everything needs a balance. It's we need time to recharge. We need time to be comfortable and have self-care days and stuff like that. But it's like it comes a time to go in. So my message to any listener, any viewer, it's time for you to go the fuck in, because you probably been holding yourself back too long. Don't be scared of nothing, because when they say, oh, the worst that somebody could say is no, or the worst that they could do is not fuck with you, it's really true, man. When you get a little stoic and you get like thicker skin, which a game like this teaches you, things get a lot better and a lot easier, because you can understand some people not gonna fuck with you. Everybody can't fuck with you. And you gotta accept that. But you gotta be wise and smart and disciplined enough to know that when you really doing your thing and being your true self, the right people is gonna see that and come around you. And my only other advice to people is just like don't let that feeling of being alone like get to you too much, because when you do and you start letting other people crowd around and let people come in just to have people around you, and maybe it gives you a little validation real quick or whatever, it's like them people not gonna stay around. The people that's gonna stay around, they just gonna be around. And no matter what happens, even when you question it, it's gonna keep going good. Some things fade away, some things stay, but it's like don't never let, the thought of like, damn, I'm by myself doing a lot of this stuff. Hey, good. You got a vision that maybe other people can't see, or they'll be with you right now.
Bingo.
You feel me? So this is that year, 2023. Knock them goals out, stay disciplined, stay aligned, stay centered, do what you gotta do. If you gotta be alone, then fuck it. You gotta be alone. Maybe that's what's gonna work for you right now. But I guarantee you it's people that see what you're doing and they like, damn, this is dope. This is positive. I want to be a part of that. I'm
Inspirational.
looking for something to be a part of. You feel me? So
Yeah.
just keep doing your thing, everybody out there. This is that year. It's a lot of people you're gonna see come up this year. And all I'm gonna say for me, just watch me this year. And we gonna look when we do our next interview, we gonna look back at this one and see, how much things have
Come to light, man.
yeah, come to life from now.
Shout out to New Jupiter, man.
Hey, Marv. We've
Any
hit
last?
the 1 hour point.
Okay, perfect. Any last shout outs? Anybody you want to shout out?
Man, I want to shout out the whole New Jupiter, man. Um, Jersey. I want to shout out to Atlanta. I want to shout out to Big Rube and the whole Dungeon family. I want to shout out to Nick Wiz for producing KOJ for me. I want to thank everybody that's a part of Release Party 2, Empath's Paradise, on all streaming platforms now. Everybody go check that out. My best work to date. Got many videos out now. Juke God was released not too long ago. Got KOJ, Soul Jams. I got the animated video for Lost out there that's making its round. So all I could say to everybody out there, this year, whatever you think is true. So if you think this year, then this year.
Amen.
Keep going strong, and y'all gonna see a lot from me this year. I just wanna keep bringing the vibes, keep letting, giving people a safe space to feel, to express themselves. So when you see me performing this year, pull up on me. It's gonna be a release party. We get lit and we talk about what we need to talk about. So I want to thank you, Mar, for having me on the podcast.
Thank you for coming.
It's an honor to be on here officially now.
A long time coming. It was overdue.
Facts, man. So, God bless to everybody out there. And like I said, your thoughts create your reality. So pick good thoughts. Even if it take you a long time, get into that zone where, you making things happen for you. And all I could say is just keep working smart, keep doing your thing, and keep knocking them goals out that year. New Juke.
Amen. Keep on keeping on. Peace.